The most hated royal. Lee Cohen, The Telegraph, tells us, so many lofty ambitions deflated. Public approval in tatters, which, as I've explained to you, poses a considerable threat to control to Harry's wife, and has all been as a consequence of the collateral consequences arising from her behaviour driven by her narcissism. When popularity is your currency, popularity allows control, it allows the receipt of fuel, and it also allows access to money, it might be wise not to offend the sensibilities of an international public who revile family disloyalty, betrayal of beloved institutions, aggressive self-promotion, and endless victimhood. Naturally, Harry's wife has demonstrated family disloyalty. She has disengaged from her father and her two half-siblings. She has next to nothing to do with her father-in-law, preventing him from seeing his grandchildren. Nothing to do with her stepmother-in-law. Has nothing to do with brother and sister-in-law, nephews, nieces, and so forth, as a consequence of the familial disloyalty that she's exhibited. She effectively flipped the bird at the institution that was the royal family, has indeed engaged in aggressive self-promotion driven by her narcissism, and also, as I have explained to you on countless occasions, engaged in the endless victimhood because her narcissistic perspective causes her to believe that she is the one that is hard done to, that she is the victim, that nobody asked her if she was okay, with the consequence that she portrays this victimhood to the world at large. The Duchess of Sussex seemed hardly to show deep interest in, let alone any respect for the great nation of which her husband is a royal prince, nor a commitment to the rarefied role she assumed upon marriage. Harry's wife has not set foot on Britain's shores for nearly a year. Could this possibly be a permanent arrangement? Hope springs eternal for many. With revelations that Prince Harry will travel solo to the United Kingdom next month to deliver a speech at the Well Child Awards in London on September the 7th, before reuniting with his wife in Germany the following day to attend the Invictus Games, perhaps a much-anticipated day has arrived when Britons will have finally seen the back of Harry's wife. If it's true, many of us in the United States are envious. Harry's wife was also a no-show at her father-in-law's singular moment, his coronation last May, assertion of control by staying in a position of withdrawal because her narcissism recognised that it was simply too difficult for her, in terms of control, etc., to attend in person. This outcome was surely the right decision for all the wrong reasons. Low public approval, threat to control, and risk of a poor reception in the United Kingdom, threat to control, particularly after the Oprah interview and publication of Harry's memoir, likely gave her pause. Unsurprisingly, self-preservation, driven of course by her narcissism, won out against any loyalty, she has none, or instinct to honour the man who welcomed her warmly into his family and country. That disappeared into the ether a long time ago. The very man who graciously assured his son at Harry's wedding, "I'll do whatever Harry's wife needs." Harry's wife, having skipped the coronation and opted not to join Harry this September the 7th, could indicate Britain will be spared any further exposure to the figure whose actions cruelly ensured the last days of Elizabeth II were turbulent, the very opposite of what the beloved Queen of 70 years deserved, once again demonstrating, of course, the self-absorption of Harry's wife and the lack of emotional empathy that she had for Queen Elizabeth. The writer states that he may have been among the first commentators in the United States to fail to worship at the Sussex Shrine. I recall meeting a British journalist for a left-wing American publication stationed in New York back in January of 2020, well before the blockbuster Oprah interview, when America was still enthralled to Harry's wife. He was stunned to hear that some of us Yanks hoped that Britain didn't judge our whole nation for her ungracious behaviour. The Sussexes' behaviour led me to pen several articles for both British and American publications explaining to Britons that we Americans are not all on Team Harry's wife, writing for America's Fox News that Harry and Harry's wife were on track to be the most hated royals ever, outpacing even Harry's great-uncle and aunt-in-law, the Duke and Duchess of Windsor, who were alleged to have passed wartime information to the Nazis. It seems I was a trailblazer, as the pair's appalling behaviour has tanked their popularity on both sides of the Atlantic. Post-Oprah and Spare, former Tinseltown darlings, Harry and Harry's wife, are progressively wearing out their welcome in the town to which they fled, that was meant to be their sanctuary. Collateral consequence. With rejections right and left from Hollywood A-listers and streaming plans crashing, Harry and Harry's wife have famously been denounced by leading media executives as fucking grifters, challenge fuel, and lacking any kind of talent, challenge fuel. Not only has their work production been exposed as poor, but the pair have become the butt of jokes throughout the entertainment world for their eye-rolling victim narratives. Indeed, everyone from Chris Rock to the animated series South Park has exposed their hypocrisy. And speaking of cartoons, even President Joe Biden was presumed to have repelled their advances, allegedly denying the couple's request to fly back from Queen Elizabeth's funeral on Air Force One. Until her own eventual burial at Frogmore, that other divisive American to have married into the royal family, the Duchess of Windsor, barely set foot in Britain again after her husband's abdication. With that precedent, and a year free of Harry's wife under your belt, I send Britons every wish that this trend continues. As for us in the States, with threats that Harry's wife will soon relaunch her US presence on Instagram, we are unlikely to be spared. How striking that a woman who could have earned global affection and achieved respect for her role in modernizing one of the world's most followed institutions is today on target to become nothing more than a social media influencer, albeit a handsomely compensated one, to be sure. Indeed, the very comment that I made earlier. What are people's responses to this article and the declaration that she is on course to be the most hated royal? Some would suggest that she's already achieved that status. Alfredo Moss comments, "She is what she is." Harry, on the other hand, is a simple-minded prat. Back in the day, stage door Johnnies knew they could not marry the chorus girls they lusted after. They had not the breeding to enter into aristocratic families. Both parties knew it. William's advice to take time to get to know this girl was spot on. Harry, of course, too dim to think it through, now has a ring through his nose and two sprogs to tie him to her. He has been well and truly landed. John Williams writes, "The problem was never that she is a woman of colour, the problem was that she's Harry's wife." Well, actually, the problem is she's a narcissist. Lexi McGregor, "There was a huge amount of goodwill towards Harry's wife here to start with. She's now completely killed it off. Poor, foolish Harry." Linda Gilbert, "She is nothing but a vile sponger who has the attitude of me, myself and I. She is not worth the air space. Neither is the Ginger Whinger. Soon the media will be full of their separation." Deborah Hutchins, "She is American, isn't she? So you'll just have to suffer her. She was very much welcomed here until she realised she was expected to work for her keep." Matthew Wilson, "That was a classic, wasn't it? I can't believe I'm not getting paid for this. What a moron." Alexander Mackey, "I remember a very educated American lady saying to me after I had articulated the popular view that Harry's wife was a breath of fresh air and would be great for the monarchy. The American was of the opinion that Harry's wife was not all she made out to be. Particularly she had only one member of her family in attendance at her wedding, her mother, as well as many celebrities who were unlikely to be close friends. This was after the wedding but prior to the Great Flans. She was 100% on the money." Pelagius McMunk, "Americans are no strangers to the narcissists, sociopaths and psychopaths among us. Many of them are in California. My own niece lived in LA, and every time a relationship ends badly with a boyfriend or with a friend, she has a label. Bipolar, psychopathic, a veritable litany of the mental health fluent, at the core of their literacy and culture. The irony of Harry's wife is her insistence on mental health, and the result is that Harry has become even more of an emotional midget, while she makes no effort to be self-aware and consider how her own actions are the opposite of what she supposedly advocates for. Well, of course, as I've explained to you over and over again, she's completely incapable of seeing what she is because her narcissism won't let her. Scathing comments by the 100 below the line in relation to that article from an American who identifies that Britain may actually now be largely getting rid of her since she doesn't visit any longer, and it's been nearly a year since she last did. Of course, she continues to pop up in the feeds and the blogs and in the videos because so many people want to see her fail. But once again, an accurate summation of Harry's wife, what she had, what she threw away. Part of the reason why she ended up on my list of the top 20 of narcissists who fucked up. Give that a watch. You'll find it entertaining. I'm H.T. Tudor. Thank you for listening.